How do you create calm in a relationship? Women need to set a very strong boundary with an angry man, and that can be really, really difficult. You feel like you're caught in a storm. You may even be slightly scared at his anger, but at the same time, you're feeling frustrated and hurt, and you just feel like you're walking on eggshells, never knowing when the next argument's going to explode. Now, if that resonates with you, today I'm going to give you the tools you need to take control during those high, stressful, and scary moments. And I'm going to be talking about setting clear boundaries to protect your emotional space and ensure your safety and rebuild that sense of calm in the midst of what can be seemingly never-ending conflict. And when a man is in full flow, it can be very, very difficult to talk him down. Now, if you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 of this series, don't worry, because I previously covered identifying the roots of anger and identifying anger triggers. But this video is a standalone as a practical guide as how to set safe, effective boundaries. But go and have a look at the previous videos in the series, and it'll just give you everything that you need. Now, what are boundaries? They're invisible lines that protect your emotional and physical well-being. They can signal to your husband or partner what is acceptable to you and what isn't. And therefore they can help create a framework, a safe set of rules where respect and it becomes the foundation of your very relationship itself. Now, don't confuse this boundary setting as being about control. They're a safeguard, they're a rule book, and they ensure that you both have the space to communicate safely and to grow together without harm. So the importance of having consistent boundaries is that without them, it's very easy for anger to escalate and for both parties just get lost in frustration. If you know what you're going to be able to get away with and what you're not, then both of you will be in a much better place, believe me. So it's important to set strong and clear boundaries. And to do that, you need to identify what you need. Before you can set a boundary, you need to understand what your own needs are. Everyone is different. Everyone is more resilient to different types of behavior. So you need to first reflect on what type of behavior makes you feel unsafe or disrespected. What situations can make you feel overwhelmed? Now, for me, I don't like raised voices. I grew up in a household where there was a lot of shouting. My mother and father shouted at each other. And in relationships, that is the worst thing for me. If someone shouts at me, I've had to learn to react in a particular way to stay calm. And so to do that, I've learned how to just take a time out. Okay, I need to step away from any conversation if you're going to raise your voice. So you're entitled to do that. The other person may feel they're in the right to raise their voice at you, but understanding your own needs first is the initial step to protecting your own well-being. Now, that's very easy, you might say, Jim. It sounds easy on the face of it, but how can you communicate that? Well, once you know the boundaries, you'll be able to more clearly express them. For example, don't point the finger and say, "Oh, you're always shouting at me. You're always yelling at me." You need to really reflect and say, "Listen, this is how it makes me feel." Like I statements. So don't say you're always yelling at me. Say, well, that when voices get raised, I feel anxious and unable to think clearly. I need us to step back and continue the conversation when we're calmer. Or, instead of saying, stop blaming me for everything, just say, well, when we're talking about blame, I feel unheard. I think we need to just talk about how we can find solutions together. All right. It's defensiveness I completely understand. But I statements, it minimizes the defensiveness that's being conveyed to, a male who's going off at you. And in that moment, it'll make it easier for him to understand how it's making you feel. And most often, as I said before, angry men who shout at women are usually suffering from shame or guilt. And so if you're expressing and saying, listen, this is how it's making me feel, that more than likely will make him stop, pause to think. Okay? It's not a good thing to find a woman. Thirdly, consistent boundaries. There's no use setting a boundary and then waving it away when you need to assert it. I mean, going back to that example, if you've said, listen, I need to leave the room if you're going to shout at me, Follow through with it every single time. Don't stand there and take it. It will show him that your boundaries are not negotiable. Okay, that you can't go forward. He's not going. It's not about winning the argument. It's about, at the end of the day, you feeling safe, being able to think, and to be able to communicate your point of view, and to say, "Listen, Buster, shouting, yelling at me, being aggressive, nah." And on that note, don't think there's anything in this video where I'm saying you need to put up with situations where you feel unsafe. If you feel unsafe, you need to not just take a time out. You need to leave the situation and get help. All right. So, so you're applying this, you're setting your boundaries, and he's not used to it. You may well you'll probably encounter resistance. So you need to be prepared for that. He's going to resist that. Not all partners will, respect those boundaries immediately. Very often they might push back and test it out and test you. You need to say, listen, I can hear that you're upset. You're still shouting at me, but I can't go on because you're still yelling at me. So I'm happy to talk to you when we're both calm. I don't feel safe. And so I need to leave the situation. It's about protecting yourself. Okay. He'll probably throw at you that you're trying to control him or you're belittling him. So just reinforce and say, I can't respond to you because you are angry, because you are shouting. A real life example of a recent client, Rachel often feels overwhelmed when Mike becomes angry during disagreements. I told her to set a 10-minute timeout boundary where she says each time, and using these exact words, if our voices get raised during a conversation, I will take a 10-minute break before continuing. I need a moment to gather my thoughts and I will come back to this in 10 minutes. Mike resisted that constantly, saying you just don't want to hear me out. You're trying to avoid the conversation. And I said to Rachel, just hold firm, repeat that every single time. Okay, it's parrot fashion on this. If you need a cue card, read it out. Okay, to say to him tell him that I want to get this resolved, but I can't think clearly when things are this heated. I will come back to it when I've had a 10-minute break. Repeated over probably 3-4 weeks. They were going through a bad patch, financial issues. Mike was feeling very frustrated in particular, but she repeated this over 3 weeks. Every single time he would do it. He's a good guy, but he had to learn a new way of how to deal with it. And the arguments started to peter out. They became less intense, and Mike began to respect Rachel's boundary. So again, safety first. If you ever feel physically unsafe, the priority is to remove yourself from the situation. And you need to have a plan. Okay, first of all, make an exit plan. Identify a safe place you can go if things escalate, be it a friend's house, a cafe, some neighbors, whatever you need. You need to make sure that if you feel that things have gone too far, that you have a strategic plan you can execute there and then in the heat of the moment. And that would also include keeping a support network of friends and families. And, I hope it doesn't come to this, but if you need to get professional help, reach out to me in the comments and I can refer you to, domestic violence or therapy. Or just reach out and we'll see how bad the situation is. Okay, I'm here to help you. Boundary setting is about safety. It's about safety for emotional and physical boundaries. But like I said, if a situation ever feels dangerous, make sure you have an exit plan and prioritize getting out of harm's way. So I hope this has been a quick guide as to how you can set strong boundaries. I'm not saying it's easy. It's going to take practice, but you can set a small boundary day by day. Here's what you can do next. You need to watch the full playlist because this video is part of a series designed to help women navigate relationships with angry partners. Hopefully the anger is temporary. Hopefully it's because they're going through a particular situation. It's not going to help you if it's a violent partner. But like I said, you can test it out and de-escalate using these methods. Be sure to check out this playlist because there's lots of insights into managing triggers, effective communication and rebuilding trust. And I'd love to know if you've been able to set boundaries in your relationships. And so, let me know what type of boundaries you have set. Have they helped you? Or if you're starting, what's one boundary you'd like to try right now. Share those experiences in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Finally, if you're feeling stuck and you'd want to move forward with rebuilding a relationship or dealing with a situation, I'm here to help. So all the details, my contact details are here, and I can help you build a plan to regain control and build that happy relationship that you really want. Okay, you do have the power to always protect your peace and to create that relationship that you really want. It needs a plan. I'm here to help you with that. So do subscribe to the channel, like, etc., and reach out to me. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.